Number 6. If you are going to visit South America, a country you should definitely visit is Brazil. Many tourists visit Brazil every year. One of the main attractions of Brazil is that it has a wide variety of things to do. Whatever you like to do on vacation, you can do it in Brazil. If you like to see magnificent shows, you can see them in Rio. If you are interested in museums and historic sites, Brazil has many such places. One is the summer palace of the former emperor of Brazil. If you like to spend your vacation lying on the beach, Brazil's beautiful beaches are the perfect place to do that. If you like good scenery, Brazil's scenery is beautiful. If you are interested in unusual plants and wild animals, the Amazon region is a wonderful place to see them. Another reason tourists enjoy Brazil is the good weather. Brazil's weather is likely to be good in any season. Brazilians enjoy nice sunny weather all year round. A third reason that Brazil is such a good place to visit is that the food is excellent. You can get a wide variety of delicious food. Restaurants serve both Brazilian cooking and food from many other countries. There is a variety of restaurants in the cities. Brazilians really seem to enjoy drinking and eating, and so can visitors. These factors make Brazil the most enjoyable country in South America to visit.
Number 7. When you arrive in a foreign country, one of the first things you will do is check into a hotel. If you don't have a reservation, you need to find a hotel first. Many airports and train stations have a place where you can find a hotel. It may be a booth with a person who can help you. It may be a board with pictures of hotels and a telephone. When you arrive at the hotel, if you have a reservation, tell the clerk that you have one and give him or her your name. You should have the letter or computer printout confirming your reservation handy in case there is a problem. If you don't have a reservation, tell the clerk what kind of room you want, single, double, etc., and for how many nights. The clerk will tell you the room rate if a room is available. Sometimes it will make a difference where the room is. For example, a room with an ocean view might be more expensive. If you take the room, you will fill out a card with your name and address. The clerk will give you the key or a key card and tell you the room number. In the U.S., if a bellhop takes your luggage to your room, you should tip the bellhop $1 for each piece of luggage.
Number 8. In the 1700s, publishing in the United States was a slow process. It was done on a hand press. Because of this, printed material was expensive. Most people could not afford it. Buying a newspaper every day for a month might cost the same as an average person's salary for 2 weeks. In addition, books were generally so expensive that they were beyond the reach of average people. If most families owned any book at all, it was probably the Bible. However, in the early 1800s, printing machines were invented. They made printing faster, easier, and less expensive. Ordinary people gained access to printed materials. This has had 2 important effects on American democracy. The first effect was on the press. With the invention of machines, newspapers became cheaper. It became possible for ordinary people to afford them. This allowed them to learn about what was going on in the nation and the world. They could learn about local, state, and national politics. This was a significant effect. Informed citizens are important to a democracy. A second effect was on education. With cheaper printing, textbooks became affordable. This made free education possible. Educated citizens, citizens who are able to read and who understand how their government works, are also important to a democracy. For these reasons, the invention of printing machines influenced the growth of American democracy.
Number 9. The old town of Warsaw, Poland, was declared a World Heritage Site in 1980. What makes this so amazing is that at the end of World War II, the city lay in ruins. It suffered greater destruction and loss of life than any other city in Europe during the war. 85% of the city was destroyed. In the city center, the royal castle, the city's market square, called Castle Square, and the beautiful 17th and 18th century buildings around the square were destroyed. After the war, the government of Poland decided to rebuild the city center. Instead of building it with modern buildings, the government decided to rebuild the old buildings. In fact, instead of rebuilding the area to look like it did before the war, the old town was rebuilt to look like it did in the 18th century. This was a huge project. The royal castle was nothing but a pile of bricks. It was completely rebuilt between 1971 and 1984. The castle was originally built in the 13th century. It was returned to its former glory. The buildings around Castle Square were returned to their former appearance. Today, you can walk through the royal castle. It is hard to believe this is not the original castle. You can stand in Castle Square and look around. You will find it hard to believe that you are not standing in an 18th century market square.
Number 10. Note-taking is a useful academic skill. Every student should work on improving note-taking skills. A good note-taker does not try to write down everything. He or she writes down only the most important information. Note-taking has several advantages. The first advantage and main purpose of taking notes is to have a permanent record of information. Whether you are taking notes from a lecture or a book, you may need a permanent record. It is impossible to remember everything you read or hear in a lecture, so you need to take notes. You cannot go back and listen to the lecture again, and it may be difficult to find information again after you have read it. Second, note-taking helps you focus on the most important points of what you are reading or listening to. It is not necessary to know or remember all of the information that you read or hear in a lecture. Note-taking, and then going back and reorganizing your notes later, helps you pick out the important points that you do need to understand and remember. Third, taking notes helps you concentrate on what you are hearing or reading. It requires you to be active in your reading or listening, and so you will get more out of it. For these 3 reasons, it is useful for a student to be good at taking notes, either from a lecture or from reading material.